So thanks for reminding me, Matt, because I was talking away. Gold, structure-wise, is like I say, obviously it's very bullish. It's been bullish forever. I think it's only really does bullish. Um, Now the last couple of months have been pretty difficult to read an actual structure on gold because it's just up, up, up. But what we can start to do, mate, is so we've got a high here. Obviously, I'm on the currently on the 4 hour. Um, and just draw the actual sort of structure from somewhere about down there. Don't think I class that. So we're up there. Turn as red. So gold is this higher time frame. This is a higher time frame structure. Now, I'm not sure if I'd class that as a pullback. It technically meets the rules for a structure, so it could well be from the same high, obviously same lows, same internal high there. It could be this, could be that. So what my rules are for structure is now obviously it is bullish, as I said. So once a high is put in, and then obviously we pull back. The lowest point it pulls back before then retaking the high. So obviously on this leg here that I've the first leg I drew, pulls it high, it pulls back. It clearly starts pulls back. We start taking like little lows internal. Like I said, the lowest point it pulls back, which is obviously this here, before it then retakes the high. So if I draw a level from the high, level line, so the red line across here. Obviously, something in here is the cause of this high being taken, and it then does start to pull back, and obviously it pulls back below the high. So the reason why I do like to see it pull back below the previous high is because the idea is that something in all this price action below this line is the cause of this high being taken. So with this structure in mind, I think it's this bigger one overall. And if that's the case, then what we should get is obviously from that high, we get a real big pullback. Now I don't know if this is the bottom, but I'm gonna for purposes, I'm just gonna say that's the bottom. This could be then classed as a pullback, and then obviously we could maybe anticipate a new high, assuming that that one's the structure. I'll turn this other one purple so you can see a differential. Like I said, I think it's the red, but it's very possibly the purple. Um, so what we can sort of kind of start to anticipate from here, if we think it's the new bottom, is we can start to look at now this is higher time frame stuff, and then how we can try and anticipate if this is the bottom is we can start to use slightly lower time frame structures. So what I mean by that is if we focus on this big red uh, bearish structure here is inside from this being the low and that being the high. This is also made up of a different structure, but it's overall the same direction. So I'll just zoom in a touch, and what you'll start to see is we get a lower structure inside of the overall higher time frame structure. So, well, I'll zoom in a touch more. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. Um, so we can see a low there. We get a high, low, high, low, just about a new high, low, high, low. And then we're about at the high, so that's a big leg. I'll turn that one blue, maybe. No, do it orange. Turn it 100% visible. So this orange line, obviously, it's the same low, overall low, and same overall high on it. Yeah, but as you can see, from rather than just one big straight line and the red as being the higher, because that's just the high and low, we have an internal structure that makes up the same whole leg, if you like. So if we're gonna if we are to believe that, so just taking that bit of knowledge, what we can start to do is thinking, if we think this is the low, we can start to see that here, if we look at this section here, if we assume this leg here is possibly this leg here, yeah, what happens here? Now, obviously, you can check this out because you can start to look at old old charts to try and predict new future outcomes kind of thing. So if we assume this leg there is the same as this is possibly going to be this big overall leg here, right? What we start to see is on a lower time frame on this smaller structure. Now I'm staying on the 4 hours so you can kind of see both structures going on at the same time. But what we do get is we start to get, if that's one structure, I'm going to just straighten this up a touch and should say that's one leg there actually. Bear with me a sec. Yeah. So on a lower time frame, we get confirmation of possible change of character, break of structure, whatever you want to call it. Just there's a couple of structures going on at the minute. So orange structure, it breaks there. It breaks the high, obviously from this bearish price action on this leg here. So what we can do is we can come over to current price and we can start to mark the relevant down structure, which is possibly something like this. Big leg there. Well, go away. All right, so we've got that there. So at the minute, just at a glimpse, I'm saying that's the high that I would want to see broken before I consider that this new higher time frame higher high is due to be put in place. So it's the same here. Like I say, that's the high I want to see broken on this one to continue bullish price action. Like I say, we get a couple of bearish swings. So that basically we're trying to replicate this action here over here before we consider major buys. Now that's basically like this red's my 4 hour structure and the orange is my 15-minute structure. They're both visible on like the same time frames, but you've got to like just know that there's the overall higher time frame structure is from the highest point on the lowest point here to the highest point there, and it's just all that's bullish price action, medium time frame swings, and then obviously what we can actually do from there as well is we can use even lower time frame structures. So what I'll do is I'm going to come back into this one again because what will happen is now my red's 4 hour, orange is 15, and then green is my one. But if you don't have to stick to them time frames exactly, so I'll often draw the 15-minute up and I'll mark it up on while I'm on the 2 hour time frame. But it's more a case of higher, medium, and lower time frame. But I just name them 4, 15, and 1 from how I used to kind of trade. Um, I used to just try and catch these huge 4 hour legs. So um, yeah, I was trying to catch these moves here. Um, but yeah, I'm just going to zoom in here because what I'm hoping is uh, I'll get to the entry time frames in a minute, mate. Because what I'd say, I mean, I'm generally looking for a 1 minute break to the upside. 1 minute break of structure. Oh, it's my dog. Yeah, I normally wait for 1 minute break in the direction I want to trade, mate. But uh, if the what I'd do is I like to I think when we get a break of structure, price usually comes back to fill an imbalance, and now that imbalance could be on the 10 second, and then my entry is usually the order block that creates that imbalance. So some people will say it's a 10 second entry, but it's just I'm just trying to find the order block that creates a really nice looking imbalance. So obviously imbalance is just bear with me a sec while the dog calms down a touch. So this is kind of maybe a good example here. We get some imbalance created from here, this candle here. Yeah, I'll highlight it yellow because yellow is my imbalance stuff. And then obviously this sort of area below it is what kind of creates it. Now we're on the 4 hour, so I wouldn't normally. There's a lot of room for difference. So this is viewed as imbalance on the 4 hour. If we come down the time frames, this will change drastically. So which is why I end up at say like the minute and lower to try and find the actual imbalance because I'll do it in a minute. You'll see that like this changes drastically. This would be the order block. This is the imbalance where there's a big push. As you can see, price is halfway through it at the minute. So just move that a sec. I'll show you as that imbalance changes, which is why I don't I don't really mark any imbalance above the 5 minute really. But I'll just show you how it changes so you can start to understand why I end up down there. So I'll mark a different box for every one that as it changes. So we've got a wick there, so I'll chain it all yellow so you can kind of see. So imbalance has changed from the 2 hour, from the 4 hour to the two. We'll do the 1 hour. Changes slightly again. Now every one of these time frames is the imbalance is going higher and higher. Um, I'll jump straight to 15 from there. I'm going to leave that one because 15, 15's a touch lower, near enough the same height. Yeah, but the 15's about the five's about the same, and then the 1 minute's pretty much about the same. But we also get a little bit under here as well, a little bit there, maybe a touch here, touch there. Don't want to do that. And there's possibly some lower, but we'll stick with this for now. So as you can see, just through changing the time frames, all these imbalances change. There's nothing from the start of the 4 hour where this line starts. Obviously, there's none for near enough half of it. So the bottom half of that current imbalance is once you get to lower, it shows it's not actually imbalance. So, which is why, like I say, I don't really mark anything too low. But now that we've sort of like done that and gone through, now I'd normally go even lower, but gold's really wicky. So like trying to find imbalance in gold is harder than any other pairing kind of thing. But what we could say now is if we had that area marked for the possible order block that we liked, like I say, there is imbalance there. It does about lead to a high being taken. It's possibly the new higher low. Obviously, if we get confirmations to the upside, what it's done, it has. Now, if we really zoom in, like so, what we can sort of see is if we mark, I can't remember which one it is, but we've got a couple of boxes that we drew on the relevant time frames. I'll just highlight the bottom of them. Yeah, what we can see is that I think this one's the 1 minute, the lower one, but we can kind of see that it's about filled that imbalance perfectly. Just gone a few pipettes past it. Yeah. So if we was happy with the order block to the left, what we can do again is now I've got the orange high marked. That's my 15-minute time frame medium. But what we can also do is inside the 15. So as we went over before, we'll, when we mark one, yep, there's a inside of that there's a lower time frame. So on here, what we've got is so we get some bullish price action here. So I'm going to just turn the mark the last lower time frame that's internal to that one. So we get a low, we put in a high, we take the low, so we get a breaker structure to the downside on the lower time frame. We're going to turn this green in a minute. We get a low. I'm going to miss some of that middle out because it's a bit crappy. We make a new high. It's going to come down. We eventually put the low in, obviously, at the minute. And then we break this high. So this is the high that puts in the low. And this is the signal that we are basically getting some bullish price action. 1 minute, I'll turn it green. Now we pull back, obviously. So there is actually a trade from this. So, but this is my signal. So as soon as that low's put in, if I'm happy with what it's done, from there we get a lower time frame breaker structure. Yeah, because this is the high, puts the low in that meets the rules for structure. So at this point here, if I had that order block marked, it had filled an imbalance here. Basically done everything I wanted it to. If I was happy with the order block, because the order block could say took liquidity, obviously it's left imbalance because it's just filled it that we sort of covered it back here. It's then broken to the upside, so a signal of upwards price action. As soon as this high is taken, obviously you should set alerts and things so you don't have to watch the charts all day every day. You would set an alert, obviously, at your point of interest. Once it tags that, you can then just go, that's me next relevant high. And from there, you would just, if you was to open, say, the chart at that point, lower time frame break to the upside is my signal for it to get in. Now I mean, we're on the 5 minutes, so it would change again in a second, but I think we get a reaction from somewhere in this imbalance. You know, I would be down here on the 10 second, more than likely. It doesn't look that fantastic. Now, it looks an absolute mess. Gold is particularly difficult to read at times. Not ideal. Possibly bit of imbalance there. Now we're on the 1 second, so um, imbalance there. And obviously we can't go lower than the second, so I don't know. This is why gold's quite hard to read sometimes, so that could be the entry. I don't know. Obviously, it could be something in here as well, but I can't go lower than the 1 second, so if it's anything lower, I won't be able to read it. Although that does kind of stand out to me a little bit, but chances are that something like that would be my entry, assuming there was nothing better looking lower. Um, Terrible example to be showing you anyway. Um, yeah, just below. But you kind of get the idea, you know. Um, if that was, I mean, I wouldn't have took that anyway because I didn't like particularly like the look of them. I'm very um very strict on what I would pick to and actually put my money on. So I mean, I'd have probably left that because it just wasn't the best looking. Um, wasn't keen on it. So I'd rather leave a trade than like just get in for the sake of it. It just came lower than the lower zone I marked. See, that might be imbalanced there between these two wicks. Possible imbalance there. Well, basically, once you get your break in your structure, and now obviously on the 5 second, this looks far better for an entry zone anyway. Um, so yeah, I'm once it's done its thing. I mean, it might come for this. These wicks here. There's no body, so that could have been the entry. Like again, like I say, not easy to read, but it's what it's actually doing is it's coming back for something that, yeah, pretty much fills it to the dot. But once you get your lower time frame break anyway, the principle is that it's coming down to fill something, and after obviously because we're in a 4 hour pullback, the 15 minutes, so medium time frames still bearish. We could well be seeing a um what we don't know at the minute is whether it's going to take this 15-minute high. So leading up to gold, leading up to current price. So like I say, there's a possible buy there. Obviously, it's gone and done its possible thing. We've also can continue with this 1 minute lower time frame structure. So what would attack the entry that was just speaking about could be the new lower high on the lower time frame. That's a high. We've not taken the low again, so we and now we're possibly on Thursday putting a new higher low on the lower time frame. So I'd anticipate at the minute that this is possibly going to be taken. So somewhere up here. And then what it does from somewhere around here is what I would be waiting for to kind of tell me if I think this high is going to be taken, and then we're going to turn bullish 15-minute again. And obviously, if we turn 15-minute bullish, I'd then expect the 4 hour high is going to be taken as well because and I say that because I've just jumped on the 4 hour because obviously we're always working to one time frame. If we're working to the red structure and wanting the 15-minute to tell me that this is going to continue, so this 4 hour at the minute hasn't broken this 4 hour bullish structure low. Now that might take some thinking about, but basically, if we anticipating the continuation to this long swing, like I say, the orange structure will turn and tell us first, and then obviously, if it doesn't, I would just anticipate that this one isn't going to be taken, and then we're going to come lower still, and then maybe eventually take the 4 hour structure. Um, so yeah, what happens around up in this top 25% of this orange leg? Like I say, if we come high up into here and don't take the low, let me just zoom in again. I'll tell you, I'll do 15-minute. Yeah, this is a pivotal point for gold and what happens over the next sort of like few weeks, I'm guessing, is if we come up here, we will either pull back in something in here and then take the high, and then it'll go however far it wants, and then it'll come back and it will give us another opportunity because once it takes 15, it'll come back for an imbalance, lower down, maybe somewhere in this or whatever's created, then it'll give a 1 minute breaker structure again to the upside. Um, that's if it takes the high. Obviously, if not, it'll just come down. It'll take that this current low here, and then it'll just go lower. So they're the kind of two options for gold at the minute. Obviously, all that is pure speculation. Um, But yeah, if it does take the high, we'll maybe get a couple of swings, and then we'll get a it'll come back for something, and then again it'll give us another opportunity when it takes the high again. They're the two options on the table at the minute. Pardon me. Does that make sense, guys? Obviously, both very quiet. That might obviously, if it with it being your first session on, mate, that might take a lot of processing. I
I'm at
appreciate.
work, mate. Sorry as well. Sorry to butt in there.
Yeah,
So I
no,
have to keep the
no,
mic off.
yeah, no, that's fine, mate. It's just obviously I wanted to try and make sense, and
Yeah, it makes
obviously
sense.
Sam
That
said he's
was.
new, mate, so or it's his first live of mine. So, but I appreciate that mine's probably the most in detail live out of probably most of the strategies in here, mate. So, I bet a lot of mine's based around structure anyway, because I genuinely believe structure kind of tells you what it's doing before it kind of does it. And what I mean by that is, like I say, is as we spoke about earlier, is on if like I say if we take this 4 hour pullback when we would turn bullish again, there was a break above here that told us it was going to turn bullish there, and then obviously that takes the 15 minute, the orange high, pulls back, and this is where I move that. This is where if you catch obviously if the charts are in the right place and you do catch it and you have these markups in place at the right time kind of thing, you can then catch massive, massive moves. So what I tend to do, I used to trade, like I said, the big 4 hour legs and things, but um, and this would have been a beautiful setup.
Starting it.
Is because as soon as like a 15 minute high is taken, or like in a reversal kind of thing, so you get like a couple of 15 minute bearish swings here. What I'm looking for nowadays is the point in which that 15 minute high is taken. This one here, obviously it's taken here. What I'm looking for is price to come back, mitigate an order block, and then show signs of break into the upside. So if we zoom in here, is like I say, we took this high over here, price comes back, taps into this order block. This order block's the cause of liquidity being taken. It's the cause of the high being taken. Price comes back, taps it, and then it breaks even smaller time frames to the upside. And what I mean by that is, depending on what you might consider your structure, there's a couple possibilities here. Where's my drawing pen? So on this occasion, obviously we get a bearish price action here. We pull back. So I would either say that high being taken, or it's this one here. Both technically meet the rules for structure, but this one's a safer option because it's a bigger price leg. This could have been news or something, which makes it less likely to be kind of real price action. That might just be manipulation and price wanted to. If you see price comes back to fill it pretty much to the dot and then continue, so I'd be more inclined up here. But this one up here, if we say it's that one, we get we get the breaker structure at that point anyway. And then obviously it's coming back to fill an order block with imbalance. Obviously, you can see the imbalance in there. Now this is a tiny entry, and because structure-wise, as I said, this was just a 4 hour pullback. You then have the potential to make major moves. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't think I'd hold it that far anyway, but you could always anticipate in um, if we've got a 4 hour, well, whatever time frame structure, obviously I'm talking about the 4 hour, but we could be talking about the 15 or whatever. If it pulls back, you're anticipating it. If it doesn't take the low and change break structure, you're just expecting it's going to make a new high. So if that was the case, you caught that move and you just expected to take it past this high, like there's a possibility there of a 230 risk to reward move if you're brave enough to hold that kind of thing, you know? But it's doable. Obviously, it goes far, far, far more than that. But again, what I'm kind of hoping is this setup there, that 230 odd hour mark thing. Obviously, it's gone far more. It's gone 800 odd in total. But what's happened here is basically what I'm hoping will happen over here. If not, it'll come lower and do the same thing if it's going to stay bullish. I just don't know if it's going to stay bullish, and what structure tells us will be what confirms it for me. So what will happen first is if this is the new lower low, higher low, like I say, the 1 minute will break to the upside first, which it's done, and then you then want it to break. Obviously, there's an entry at that point. That's the most aggressive entry and the first overall entry you'll get. After that, if it takes the 15-minute high, so this orange line we've marked here, after it does that, it will come up so high, mitigate something, come back down, and then it will then break, do 1 minute high, it'll come down, mitigate something, and then break to the upside again on the 1 minute. At that point, if it breaks to 15 and then comes back and breaks to one, so this line here is the alternate or alternate turquoise, teal, whatever, the bluey green thing. This is the structure I'd want to see if it takes the 15, as we were speaking earlier. Because once it takes the 15, oh, let's just cancel that. Yeah, if it takes the 15-minute, that means that the 4 hours pulling back but bullish. If it takes that 15-minute high, that means that the 4 hour and the 15 are both bullish. And then all we're kind of waiting for is the 1 minute to come back and fill what it wants and then turn bullish. And then we've got three time frames all aligning, possibly at the bottom of a 4 hour low. So if you can catch them, if this is the play, and we can anticipate a new 4 hour high, we've got thousands upon thousands of pips to catch. I mean, that's a million, whatever that is. I don't trade gold loads because it's just always bullish. But you kind of get the idea. I'm hoping. I'll just read that messages from a minute ago. 4 hour and 8 hour. Turning points mainly. I mean, this is trade turning points. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're doing turning points, mate, golds. I don't know if you mean like obviously catching the top of this in a sell and the bottom of that for a buy or whatever. This is structure wise, mate. Is I mean, I'm probably the best person in TFT regarding structure. I mean, it's not easy by any means. It's probably the hardest thing to actually read, but structure always tells you anyway. So yeah, it's if you don't have it, then it would definitely benefit you in regards to um swing points anyway. So obviously there's a markup here from like this cell here. Obviously all this is majorly bullish. This is the first low here that gets broken that kind of tells us that it's possibly going to sell off, and it did obviously. So that's obviously this is possibly cause of these liquidities being taken, these lines of my liquidity marks. This is the actual lowest time frame. The first low I'd consider as a breaker structure, if you like. I'll just highlight it because this one here, that low there, that's the first one I'd want to see breaking before ever considering a sell while this was playing out. So takes liquidity, point of interest, and then from inside there we get lower time frame again, breaks to the downside. So let's just have a look on any random time frame. So if we zoom right in, like we get a tap into the point of interest, we pull back. There's no break of structure here because this is all one leg. We then retake this high, so we've got bullish structures, and then this here is the first signal of reversal. So we're happy with the high time frame point of interest, obviously, which is the red box. It takes that first higher time frame low. We then get a lower time frame one as it taps into the zone, and then obviously price sells off from there. So yeah, structure would definitely help you if you don't already use it, mate. Um, and as you see, obviously after it takes that internal low, it taps into it, and then it's sold off since pretty much so. And there we go. Is there any questions on that, guys? I don't really use the 8 hour time frame as a structure. You said the 4 and the 8 are bullish. I think what I think with you saying 8 hour, mate, I think my 4 and 8 are about the same. All you're doing is halving candles. So from the 4, obviously, you get twice as many candles, but the structures are the same, I think. I think I'd be up to like the weekly or daily to maybe see if there was anything different going on. And my chats are a mess, so there's a lot of old markings. Like my chats, unfortunately, will always look like this because I'm constantly drawing stuff on for education purposes for you guys. But yeah, I think daily or weekly on gold is also bullish. I don't think there's ever maybe even any other structures on it. I think I'd be low, high, low, and then high up to current price. So yeah, it's just all bullish in it. Let's read that message. They are. Is that not? That's got to be a wind up. 30 second, 2 minute, 8 minute, 32 minutes, 128, 512, and 2048. Yeah. No wind up. Well, I mean, if it works for you, mate, happy days. I don't. Is there a reason using them? Is that something to do with like the EMAs already you're using? Because that seems WD GAN. Uh, yeah, I'm not. I know what a GAN box is, obviously, but I don't know. I have no idea what you was talking to there, mate. Like, what sort of system that is? I've never heard a system based on it. Um, be interesting though. Very interesting. So yeah, it's that structure anyway. Time cycles. That'd be interesting, mate. I'd be interested to hear your input on that. Being real keen. What I'll do while you boys are just on, like I say, I don't know how new Andy is, but I'll just talk a little bit about liquidity and that while you're on, just to try and find something nice and clean. So some back here. I was just as you'll see on my charts, I'm keen on trend lines. I don't really see that many uh, actual equal highs and lows. They do happen, but I don't think they're as common as people will make out. So I mainly use trend lines because what a trend line is for me is it's at least three touches on price, and they have to be pretty much bang on in levelness. So what we get here is obviously 1, 2, three really clean touches here. Same again, one, two, three really nice touches. And obviously across here there's three, I think, for that fourth one there. No, sorry, four there. This possible fifth one's a bit slow. A bit a bit low, sorry. Again, one, two, three clean touches. Now there's a couple in here that are a little bit off that I've left on as I was trying to find the actual liquidity. But yeah, as you can see, at least three real nice clean touches. Now I get down to like the 1 and a 5 minute to determine that these are actually like pretty much three perfect touches. So the idea with that is that why I like them to be perfect touches is because it takes away any doubt as to whether it's liquidity or not. So obviously, if that, for example, if this middle touch here was a little bit past, then what you're saying is you're if price breaks that trend line level, you could then sort of kind of draw any a line from any two price points and like unless you've got a tolerance of how far it passes kind of thing, you could, but if you didn't have that tolerance, you could say, oh, it could pass through 20 pips and you're still okay with it. It's not good enough for me. I don't like to have guesswork in my trading, so which is why I like everything to be pretty much bang on. And as you can see from a lot of these that they're all about perfect. And then obviously it just takes away any guesswork. So um liquidity being taken doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to reverse or it's going to continue. So all it is the idea behind liquidity is that your average the sorry top three pairs. Uh, I don't really have a top three, mate. All these here are all the pairs I'll look over. So I'll pretty much trade anything. I don't really look at Ethereum. That's just I was looking at that for someone else. Obviously, they can't really trade the DXY. Um, but so I'll trade anything, but obviously what I'm kind of looking for is um I'm kind of looking for ideally the spreads would be good, so that kind of gives you some indices. EU, GU, although they're not, I don't particularly think any's better than any other. But what I am kind of looking for is now obviously we're looking at Euro JPY. It's obviously it's heavily bullish. It's not ideal for it's possibly not ideal for buys. Um, I mean, if it had come, what I'd be kind of looking for on this ideally would be I want it to pull below this high here, and then obviously, I mean, I'd love it down here because then you possibly get a new high put in. There's possible sells on this. It's obviously it's broken to the downside, so we might th up here there might be sells present on here. Uh, but yeah, I wouldn't say I prefer any over any because I'm looking for the bigger swing points. I'm kind of restricted on what uh stuff needs to be in the right places basically. So like Euro CAD now, this like buys from here was a great option I think because we've got big pullback from here, and then we're possibly putting a new high. So there's possibly this was a great buy opportunity like a week or two ago. It might still be present, actually. What was that? Yeah, that might still be in play. But yeah, if they're in the right place to trade, mate, that's kind of what I'm waiting for, which doesn't always happen. So obviously, I was trying to buy Euro GBP last week, I think it was the week before. I mean, this has been a bit crap for a little while, so sell buys from over here, which we're doing August. The next opportunities came. March, so 6 months later. So yeah, it's just what's in the right place rather than I prefer anything over anything. Is there any more questions, guys? Because I'm probably going to call it there. If not, give you a minute to reply in case there is.
No, that's so, mate. Nice one. Thank you.
No, assume that's a no. No worries, mate. Thank you very much for jumping on, lads. If there's
Legend, mate.
uh,
Thank you.
if there's any more questions, guys, just chuck them in the Discord, and I'll be more than happy to answer anything that I can. All right.
Thank
If
you,
not,
mate.
boys, have a good week, and hopefully everybody can make some money. Catch you later, mate. Bye bye.
Bye.